Hello and welcome to another podcast edition of Taiwan Talk. I'm Keith Manconi. English is, of course, a valuable skill in Taiwan. There's the jobs it opens up, the new traveling experiences that become possible, a lot to be gained there. But for many students, it can be pretty hard to see what's good about English learning when you're stuck in class, facing down vocab, the grammar drills, the test after test after test. You know, with all that, it becomes pretty easy to see why some people end up really disliking the language. Well, today on the show, we're going to be speaking to the founder of a program aiming to bring English learning to an environment that these students actually want to be in, the basketball court. Tony Coolidge is the founder of the American Basketball English Camp, which combines competitive sports and American-style summer camps with English learning. The group began organizing 3-day basketball camps in Tainan last year and are now looking to expand to other cities in Taiwan. To get a feel for what they're up to, I spoke recently with Tony, and he started out our conversation by laying out exactly what these camps look like.
Our camps are divided between English, team spirit activities, and the actual sports activities. So the first part of our camps involves kids working together as a team to build their identity, build their spirit, and learn how to work together and learn from other examples why teamwork gives them more, gives them a better chance to win, to achieve. I think that's something very important that's really missing in Taiwan's education system. When they learn this, they see more results. And they learn it in English. The activities are actually something where they express their English writing, express their English speaking, and as an immersive environment, their English listening is always being used. And then finally, when they start doing the sports activities, the basketball, we have different basketball games. We have the 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 tournaments. The volunteers and coaches are constantly teaching in English, and they're hearing it. They've prepared the vocabulary already, so they start becoming comfortable listening and understanding and learning in English. So that is a new experience for them, learning something that they're actually doing and using to improve something in their life that they care about. So they learn sports skills, basketball skills, and through games and different types of games, and they learn from coaches that are teaching only in English, and they learn from volunteers who also are teaching only in English. And it's a great opportunity for volunteers in Taiwan, too, who are high school and college kids who get a chance to experience leadership for the first time.
And so the kids that we're talking about here, this is geared towards middle school students?
Yes, junior high students are the target because I believe that that's really a critical stage where they form their opinions on English. They either like it or they don't by that time. And I think this program gives many students who have given up on English another chance to have a favorable impression.
Right, and that gives us a good way to get into why basketball and English perhaps do go together. And so I guess kind of what you're suggesting here is that basketball takes it out of a textbook. You know, you encounter a language in a textbook, you have no reason to care. Basketball gives them a reason to care.
Right. This is about changing attitudes in Taiwan. I mean, there are already students who like English, and they're a minority. I found that they were just a minority of students, but there are many students who form these opinions in junior high. So I did look for an activity that was very popular among junior high students. So basketball was, by far, I think it's the most popular sport in junior high schools. So that made it an obvious choice for me. And as an American sport, it also provides the opportunity for goodwill between Americans and Taiwanese. And so, yeah, that's why basketball was chosen.
Now, could you give us an example? You've already kind of talked about some of the stuff that's going to be happening at these camps, but could you give us an example of a really concrete way where an activity or something that's going to be going on there would actually lead to language learning?
What I have found is, I've been an educator in Taiwan since 7 years ago. And so I've really learned about what are the main focuses in junior high. They start changing from, start focusing on tests, and all the studies are focused on tests. So the kids really don't have any value to the English they learn except for to pass their tests. But I believe that the attitudes and the confidence comes from experience. So the basketball, the training that they learn new vocabulary, they learn how to speak in front of a crowd about their dreams, about who they are, or what their favorite player is, and they learn to have really to speak out. So English speaking is something that they get renewed confidence in. Mm-hmm. And what I found from the teachers, the English teachers of schools where the kids go, actually have found that the words that they learn in preparing for these basketball camps and activities are sticking with them. And
because they care about them.
Yeah, they care about them. They're using it. Okay, mm-hmm. Using something is really the natural way of learning. Mm. When you can use the words you learn, it stays in your mind. You really can connect with the meaning of it. Mm. And so that's what the basketball camp provides, is the use of what they learn, and it stays in their long-term memory and not just short-term.
Mm. Now let me just take the role perhaps for a second of a skeptical parent. Now if I'm a parent, I might be thinking to myself, basketball, this is a pretty narrow thing. Even if you learned all the basketball vocabulary in the world, it doesn't necessarily prepare you to be a well-rounded adult, doesn't prepare little Johnny to work at that big multinational. So help me make that connection. Is this just a start to something bigger?
Well, I think a camp itself is not long-term enough to really develop the skills. But what I can tell you is that parents can prepare their kids as much as they want with, giving them classes to take and giving them more teachers to learn from, preparing them for tests. But that is not going to go well if the child already has a negative attitude towards English or has given up on English and chosen to focus on other things. So what I've found is that many of the students who love basketball, aren't necessarily the top English students. We don't need to help change the minds of the top English students. We're trying to reach the middle of the road, even some of the lower level students who never believed that English could matter to them. If we change this attitude, that can be done in a short time with a very positive, strong experience doing something they really love. That can change their attitudes. When their attitude changes, the way they approach all the resources the parents give them shows a big difference. I mean, they will start caring about studying more. They won't be as distracted. They will realize English can provide something for them. And so whatever the parent gives them at that point will have better results.
So really the idea here is creating an immersive environment where it's just English everywhere, but it's a place that these kids would want to be. It's a positive environment where they're going to build up these positive feelings about the language and about learning.
Right. And I've had parents come up to me after the camp saying, "Wow, it's amazing. Are you going to have this again? Because my kids are telling me they're not afraid to speak to foreigners anymore. They want to learn more English. They see the value of it now." So these are the comments from parents, and it really confirms what I had hoped that the program would provide. Mm. Yeah.
Now, I want to even broaden this conversation, perhaps even a step beyond this specific program, because it sounds like what you're zeroing in on here is an issue that a lot of us that are interested in seeing good quality English learning happen in Taiwan, well, it's a set of issues that we're all kind of looking at. So, in a lot of ways, there is a lot of testing, there's a lot of textbook learning, and there's only so far that can go. So, when you were thinking about starting this whole program, when you were coming up with this, was there something lacking in the English learning environment here in Taiwan that you were trying to address?
Right. Yes, as an educator and a book writer in Taiwan, I've always felt that what's in the books are very limited in what they can offer to students. I've met all types of students, and the ones who are the best achievers in English are the ones that actually have the positive attitude, the confidence. They have had experiences. They've traveled. They've used their English outside of the classroom. So it's interesting to them, and so they've pushed themselves to be the best in their class. So those are the things that the schools cannot give them. And so when I've taught students, I've always tried to give them new experiences, activities, taking them to radio stations, learning from different people's jobs, and then having the English give them something that matters to them. And those have been the best students in Taiwan. So I believe that there needs to be something provided to students more accessible to help give them experiential confidence building, even teamwork building lessons that can really help them achieve more in their life. And right now, a basketball camp is just one thing. And I'm not a basketball player. You can look at me and say, why basketball? But no, it's activities.
You're meeting the kids where they are. You're meeting them where they are.
I'm looking for what they're interested in first. Right? And so this can be applied to any sport, basketball, baseball, golf, anything. Can be put into a format like this, like a summer camp.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what I've just observed based on very unscientific methods, but most of the Taiwanese people that I know that have really excellent English are people that love American movies. They get really into the culture that way. And so, yeah, this seems like just another parallel to that is another way to get into the culture. And like you said, I think it all goes back to using it and caring about it. I think those are probably the two big things.
Right. And it's a great opportunity for Americans to give back to Taiwanese kids. A lot of Americans love this country. They love to give back to the place that took care of them. And for a lot of teachers who are American especially, it gives them something they can do that they enjoy, not just being in the classroom. Teachers love getting out of the classroom as well. And it's like a goodwill ambassadorship. They have goodwill ambassadorships through basketball around the world. So it is a way to promote USA-Taiwan friendship.
And, this is something that we've talked about before here on ICRT, just getting back to this idea of what's missing in some of the teaching materials that we're seeing here in Taiwan. Language really does have a lot to do with culture, and if you don't have any kind of appreciation for the cultural perspective or the cultural history that's involved in that language, there's so much stuff that makes absolutely no sense, and it's impossible to wrap your head around it. So in a lot of ways, this is probably a good way for these kids to get immersed in the culture as much as anything else.
Right. You're very insightful, Keith. Sure, the kids really get exposed to the American basketball culture, from the history to pop culture these days, with some of the most popular idols in America being basketball players. They watch videos about them, and they learn some of the nuances, the skills, the slang. They get that immersion. So it's like they're in America, but they've got America brought to them. And I don't want people to forget that what Americans, foreigners can provide in Taiwan sometimes is kind of lost on Taiwanese parents. It's not just being there to hear our accents. We have a lot of philosophy and ways of thinking that can really make a difference. What I think can really contribute to Taiwan right now in the education system is more experiences where they're using the language, more opportunities to build their confidence and creativity. And the biggest one, I think, is just being in an environment away from a competitive environment where people are trying to outdo each other into a cooperative environment where they're actually learning to work together to achieve more and to win by cooperation. I think this is a mindset that can really help Taiwanese kids go farther as they become adults.
Right, so it's about life skills as well.
Yeah, life skills, virtue learning, and right.
A lot of stuff that's hard to get in the classroom.
Yes, definitely, and even in just Taiwan society in general, you have to look for it to find these kind of opportunities. It's not that easy. And as a father of kids myself, I'm looking to give that to my own kids. Having them be bilingual, having them to have the best of both cultures. And I do find that type of experience and resources difficult to find.
Now, I just want to pick up on a point that you mentioned a second ago. You did get a bump recently from Tainan Mayor William Lai. It was a press event. He went out and kind of showed his support for all this. And we at ICRT, we've actually reported on the English as a Second Language initiative that's going on in Tainan right now. And I think in some ways, this initiative is sort of to address some of the stuff that you're talking about because they really are trying to make English an integral part of life in Tainan. So do you see this as a sign that stuff's kind of changing, attitudes are changing towards English learning in Taiwan?
I do see some changes on the horizon. Things do seem to be getting brighter or more conducive to Taiwan being more internationalized, being a bigger part of the world. Politically things are changing. I can see changes in the education system. And also people are starting to see more value in reaching out to other countries. I mean, I think in Taiwan most people care about economics and where their kids are going to get jobs. So I see, personally, I'm an educator, businessman. I see the difficulty in hiring good English-speaking, skilled professionals. They're hard to find, especially in Tainan. And I even know somebody who tried to open a branch office for an Austrian company. He couldn't find enough good English speakers that had the technical skills. So the jobs are there. They're paying 2 or 3 times as much as the Taiwanese companies pay, and for parents, this should be a good motivation, just to see English as being more important, and also an indicator that by reaching out to English-speaking countries, there's a more sustainable, more secure future for Taiwan.
And just getting back to your program real quick, I know that all of your camps up to now have been down in Tainan, but I think that you're also planning to expand that a little bit. So just tell us a little bit about the trajectory that you're on and what your future plans are. Okay.
Well, sure. It's only been going on for a year, and it's grown from 1 school to 3 to 16 schools, being in our last tournament. And what we hope is our mission is to help more kids, reach more kids to have an experience like this. So if we reach kids who don't typically have this kind of experience in the more rural areas, that would be ideal for us. So we don't want to be just focused on Tainan. We do have interest in Kaohsiung already, and a lot of our team is from Taipei. So, we are exploring the opportunities in Taipei and looking at, who are the competitors, who's doing what. So we aren't really competing. We prefer partnerships if we can create that. So we're exploring right now Taipei and other parts of Taiwan. So ideally, we would like to see not just our camps, but really we want to see the schools see the value in adding more activities into their English education. It could be the clubs. It could be, Tainan could be like a laboratory for everyone to see and duplicate. And it doesn't have to be our camp, but if it happens to include our camp, great. If we're helping others, kind of leading the way for others to join us, I'm perfectly happy with that.
All right, so definitely one of many good things happening down in Tainan. It all seems to be coming together in Tainan, so a lot to keep our eyes on. We have been speaking today to Tony Coolidge. He is the founder of the American Basketball English Camp, and you can learn more at basketballenglish.com. Tony Coolidge, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Keith.
Taiwan Talk is ICRT's weekly interview segment, bringing you conversations from and about Taiwan. It broadcasts every Monday at 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. at the top of the hour newscasts. You can also find extended interviews, just like the one you just heard, online at the ICRT website, on iTunes and in many other places where podcasts are found. That is it for the show today. For ICRT and Taiwan Talk, I'm Keith Menconi.